Hello and welcome. My name is Dana of Dana Spirit Butterfly, and this video is the energy forecast for February 2018. So before we begin, we must first acknowledge that January was a bit of a tough nut to crack. It came with a lot of mental conflict for many of us as we worked through what it is that we really wanted to bed down for 2018. Of course, if you did tune into the forecast for this year, for 2018, that I did in late December 2017, you may remember that we mentioned back then about how February was going to be a bit hit and miss, because we would realize that a lot of the lessons that we had in 2017 could be saved. Some of the projects that we tried in 2017 could be resurrected in 2018 to our benefit. And so for many of you, January 2018 is about and has been about unraveling some of the thought programs that you'd accumulated over 2017 that may have blocked you from success back then, so that you could have another bite at the cherry, so to speak, for January and for the rest of the year. And so for many of you would have sat in that energy of heartache about some of the past, some of the things that didn't work out, particularly if you happen to have a sentimental type of personality or archetype running very strongly in your field. You would have really struggled during January. For those of you who don't tend to get attached to things, it would have been pretty easy for you. It would have been pretty smooth sailing. And certainly here in the Southern Hemisphere, the increased available light would have made things feel a lot more clearer for you. For those of you, however, who tend to sit in that sentimental self, you would have really had to be quite tough about what things you were ready to let go of. And I know that some of you feel like you might have failed, but understand this idea of failure is not really applicable when we're in life, because all failure still teaches us something of value. So if you feel like January was tough and that you lost a lot and that things didn't turn out the way that you'd had planned, then take a deep breath, come back to you and understand that you are perfectly fine. Everything is well directed and is intended exactly as is for you. Maybe finding a little bit of space, however, to sit with you and to remind yourself that you're inherently valuable just because you are here and you chose to be here. This might allow you to understand that some of the resistance that you've experienced during January is just that. It's just birthing pains or Braxton Hicks pains before the true birthing of you. So right now, some of you may be, because we kind of live in one of those worlds where we're told that we need to be positive all the time, that we need to be light and bright and happy all the time. And I don't know about you, but I certainly have periods and days where I really do struggle to find the lightness of being that I know is inherent in all of us. I have taught myself some things, and Spirit has shown me some things that allow me to rediscover the bright spark within on those days, and to be able to, with humility, sit with peace in my heart until the energy passes. But it doesn't mean that it's not without struggle, and certainly trying to just change a negative into a positive has never succeeded particularly well for most people. The negative doesn't need to become a positive, but quite often if we bury deep down into the stuff that is the resistance, we understand that the resistance may be there for a reason, and it may be there because you still have things to learn about that. And so if you still are holding on to some things from January today that you're feeling a bit guilty of because you feel like maybe you should have let them go. And this is not just relationships, but it's also belongings. It's also material desires, and also addictions that you may have. I often talk about my Netflix addiction, which ebbs and flows quite a lot. Sometimes I definitely do my marathon, and I think that just makes me human. And being human is not a bad thing. In fact, just a little reminder that we've all agreed to come down here and revel in our humanness. So, having aspects of you that sometimes reflect you needing a bit of space and time, which you may call a weakness, is not necessarily a bad thing. But when you do sit down and have that Netflix marathon, if you do sit down and eat that chocolate bar or have that ice cream, whatever it is that tickles your fancy, do it with gusto, do it with love in your heart for yourself, understanding that it's just for now. It's not a reflection of you being lazy or unworthy of love, because it's never that. It's certainly never that. But the brain, she loves her tricks. She certainly loves to pull you back down into that denseness, in that paranoid field of view where everything has to be a problem, or there needs to be a problem worth solving that is worth our time and our energy. Indeed, it is a good practice to sit with yourself and maybe give yourself a day off and do absolutely nothing, or do things just for the hell of it, just because you feel like that's what you want to do. And it's definitely a good exercise, and definitely a muscle to exercise to do that, so that you can explore other avenues of you. You know, this idea of boredom's been coming up a lot lately around the people in my life, and I don't believe that boredom in itself is necessarily a problem. Sometimes it's just a prelude to the next iteration of you, just to the next big thing that's coming into your life, without the space to sit without stuff, without the space to sit without too much distraction. How can we really fully understand ourselves? So from that perspective, it serves you to have a day or two where you fill it with absolutely nothing, or you intend not to plan anything for that day. In fact, certainly I train the ladies that I coach in the Sacred Rose Awakening book that I'm writing. Those things are going to appear in there as fundamental to your well-being and your state of wealth and abundance. So moving on, February. What has February got in store for you? Well, I can tell you now, February is going to hold a whole lot of new light that you've never before experienced in your life. And what that means is that not only do we know that the availability of light energy on the planet is the highest it's ever been, Mother Earth, she continues to vibrate in higher aspects of herself every single second of every single day. She's constantly vibrating higher. And us being, what is it I read somewhere, the fleas on Mother Earth's back, we of course are in her field, we of course are in that energetic field, so it makes sense that we would too be experiencing the symptoms that relate to us being in light. And I need to probably explain to many of you that if you haven't habitually spent a lot of time around light and in light, what light does is it doesn't just give you an opportunity to find more peace in your life, and an opportunity to sit without judgment of yourself, and to genuinely revel in the opportunities that are available for you. But in that can come a lot of rehashing of some of the old resistance programs, and that would be a lot of the fear around you standing in your power and actually being yourself in front of others. A lot of that fear can be brought to the surface when there's more light in your life, because you it's an opportunity for you to exercise this out of your physical body. For those of you who don't know, your physical body is the record keeper of your life's experience. And so a lot of the trauma that you've experienced and a lot of the hardship that you've experienced in your life is carried by the body. It is housed in the body. And so as we start to do the internal work in the internal self with the energetic bodies, to start to lift our vibration and start to experience greater aspects of ourselves and greater modes of expansion, what this does is that it gives our bodies an opportunity to release the energy that was once trapped and that was storing the memories of the old belief systems and the old things that happened to you, the old stories that you're telling yourself as to why you're not worth loving and why you can't be yourself in front of others. Because damn it, that one person when I was a kid who, when I was on stage, laughed me off the stage, and I was so embarrassed, I had a fear of standing in front of people. Ever since that day, you know, you can choose to stay there, but ultimately, do you know you're the only person who suffers that? You're the only person who suffers that. Give yourself a break, my friend. Give yourself a break. Understand that you're perfectly fabulous as you are, and your light is needed on the planet. So please understand that those self-protective mechanisms that block your inner light are understandable, but you're outgrowing that now. And it's time for you to allow yourself to be seen. I'd love to see your light. Please bring me your light. I definitely love to meet people who aren't afraid to stand on their own and to express themselves as they are. Cool. I realized that as we're doing this video, the light is shifting and there's a bit of weird things going on with the light on my face. Apparently that's according to plan, so we'll just run with it. I'll have to check the video later to see how crazy it looks, but I'm not really focusing on what I look like, because if I did that, I would probably get a little bit paranoid and I wouldn't allow my light to shine. So they're assuring me that heading into March, February is still preparation for March. March is really the time when you step into yourself. March is really the time when you have the opportunity to be the butterfly. We are still munching our way through some of the chaos of our past in February, but it's going to get easier. So with regards to March, significant transformation potential is there, including more opportunities coming into your field to allow you to do the things that you've always dreamed of doing. And so those opportunities really are what you want. When the opportunities come, don't just fart ass around, get on that bus. Just get on the bus. Just leave your brain in the car and get on the bus with the other people who are ready to shine. For indeed, that's what you're here to do. We are all essentially stars here to shine. So, a few more messages. Firstly, the assurance, and Spirit is telling me this is from them. So those of you who know when I use the term Spirit, I'm talking about the collective consciousness of the universe, which comes through its own guises, and often these may manifest in higher self, they may manifest in spirit guides, they may manifest in spirit councils, they may manifest in spirit animals, totem animals, a variety of other things, but all of these are aspects of the collective unconscious, the intelligence of the spirit world. Yeah, understanding that I have a spirit, you have a spirit. Also, those who previously had a body and don't currently have a body because they've passed on from this physical incarnation, they have a spirit. But also any individualized entity that has differentiated itself from source technically has a spirit. So spirit energy is all around us. And so when I use the term spirit, that's what I'm talking about. So the message is from spirit, from this high vibrational plane, is firstly, everything is always and ever on path. There is no such thing as being off path. There is only there is only the expression of self when we are so far removed from our true self that we're making our decisions based on reasons that are other than ourselves. So everything is on path. 100% always. I know that it feels like you're running around in circles, and sometimes you're wondering why it is that you keep repeating the same behavioral programs, or you keep repeating the same experiences where you've got the same people in your life appearing and the same circumstances in your life appearing. They're assuring me that the running around in circles are more like spirals, and so every single time you experience something similar, you get better at it. But not only that, at any point you can take control and say, I want off this merry-go-round. It's time for me to make a decision about what I actually want, and it's time for me to trust that the universe is going to support that as long as I believe that that's possible. And so what many of you do when the same circumstances come up, you sit there and you go, oh my gosh, this again, why am I still here? The answer is you're not still here. Every single time this opportunity has appeared for you, you have changed. And so at some point you can say, this doesn't belong to me anymore. I know that that's there, but that's not mine to deal with. And you start refocusing or redirecting your focus onto the things that you actually want for yourself. And so that's always the number one reason why the majority of you feel like you're not moving forward. So focus. Understand that we are here to master ourselves. We are not masters yet, so there's always still more to learn. And so if you expect that you're going to be perfectly fabulous at absolutely everything the first time you try it, you're going to be disappointed. And it's not because you're not going to be good at it, it's because your expectations are providing you with judgment. And judgment only serves to criticize and to limit your field of experience. And there's no reason to do that. So just stop it. Stop it. You're perfectly fine. We're masters of our own destiny, but we're here to master our soul's expression here in this experience of life as it's currently available to us. You are being guided. I can assure you, every single one of you has someone who has your back. Now, that may not necessarily be a physical person that you can identify right now, but trust me, there are a lot more people in your life that have vested interest in you succeeding in your life. So if you feel like you're being judged or criticized, take yourself back into your own space, breathe deeply, and ask, where are these people who are here to support me? And allow your attention to be redirected towards those people. Follow the synchronicity. You know, synchronicity is so awesome and cool. It's such an amazing thing. It's basically telling you that you're on the right path. So if you're noticing, you know, 111, 222, 333, 444, etc., etc., or if you're noticing that you keep meeting a man named John all the time and you're like, what is this that I don't understand, but John keeps appearing in my life, maybe there's a message in there for that, or a validation of someone being around you whose name is John, who's looking after you. And from that perspective, any of you who have a curiosity about what your main spirit guide's name is, quite often the answer may lie in that. You'll start to see replications of certain things that you suspect that you're not quite sure of. And really, it's the universe just saying, actually, you know, you had that thought, and that thought actually is exactly what you're supposed to be thinking. So it's validating for you that you're on the right path. So have a look. Synchronicity is apparently speeding up, which basically means that they're coming quicker and faster. So the spirit world, of course, is certainly much more accessible to us now than it ever has been. And that's because of the available light energy that continues to increase. The more light energy on the planet, the easier it is for us to speak to the spirit world without there being physical bodies. Of course, if you don't understand how to ground your energy, then this can make you unstable, and I can help you with that. But there are a lot of other energetic movement energetic practitioners who can do similar things. So a qigong class or a tai chi class, or even yoga can assist, in Pilates. So anything that's going to get you into the body and get you breathing and getting you to be mindful of yourself and integrating that energy is perfect. Perfectly perfect. So thank you. They're saying from that perspective, everything should be in plan, and everything should be available to you that you need. Of course, as you know, if you do have questions, if you need a little bit of coaching, a little bit of spotting, that's what I'm here to do. My mission here on this earth is to assist people who genuinely have the desire to know themselves and to step more into themselves. We need you. We need all of you. And it doesn't matter what your context is. It doesn't matter what your conundrum is. If you need assistance, ask please. You, of course, can book me online, and I'm quite accessible, and I'd really love to chat with you. Of course, my mainstay now at the moment is Skype, but I was at Key Crystals the other day with a client, and it's such a beautiful space there in Caulfield. So if you're in Melbourne, you can book me online for a session in Key Crystals still. I'm still reading from there. So other than that, if you're interested in learning, and my gosh, please learn about your intuition. It's your number one intelligence that you have access to very easily, but the majority of you don't know how to wield it. So learn about your intuition. You have an opportunity with me this weekend in Melbourne, because I've been asked to teach a workshop on the intuitive path at the Sacred Space teepee at the Boho Lux Markets. Josh, that was a bit of a long-winded explanation, but I'll be there 10 p.m. on Friday the 2nd of February, and I'd really love to see you. There's limited spots, there's about 20 spots I think, so make sure you jump online and book if you can remember, and if not, just rock up and see what's going on. I believe the cover charge is quite little, quite small, and it's quite a good festival, so do come down. It's at the Exhibition Centre in Melbourne. Of course, I'll be there for 15-minute readings all weekend, so you can also book those online and check availability slots there. Otherwise, you can also just rock up and see whether or not you can get a spot. There are also other readers if I'm not available, so come down and say hi. Really love to see you. Other than that, Sacred Rose Awakening, I have another workshop. The beautiful people at Soul Star Festivals has invited me to run a 3-hour workshop on the Sacred Rose Awakening, and that will be on the 17th of March, which is a Saturday. You can check them out at www.soul-star.com.au, I believe is their website. But if you have questions and doubts, you can check my Facebook page. Otherwise, I'll leave a link down in the YouTube channel. Other than that, if you like my videos, and this is the interesting part, I'm just getting into all of this. Do you know that it takes quite a lot of training to do what I do, and it takes quite a lot of energy maintenance in order to gift you with all of this insight? And so as a part of that, I understand that many channels in my industry are very well funded by donations from members of the public to keep doing these types of videos. And I have a couple of plans in train at the moment to do some videos to teach people some basics on using their intuition, and I'd really like to get them on YouTube and available to people for free. But in order to do that, of course, this takes time and energy and a lot of my knowledge that are passing on to you. So if you appreciate what it is that I do, I've joined Patreon, which is a website that's donations, about collecting donations. So I'll leave a link down the bottom of the YouTube channel. And I'd really appreciate anything that you feel, of course, use your intuition. If you feel like it's the right thing to do, I'd really love, even if it's just a $5 a month pledge to support the work that I do. I'd really be grateful for the support. Yes, I think other than that, we're done. Thank you for getting through to the end of the video. You know, I really love the work that I do, and it certainly comes from a heart place. And I really want more channels to stand up and to offer this type of a service to the world. And so if that sounds like something that you'd like to do, just, you know, contact me, ask me your questions, and let's see whether or not we can't get some solutions happening for you. Okay, so I'll wrap this up, and thank you for your attention and for your love. If you have anything to comment, you can do that below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the Energy Forecaster March or at any of my workshops. Okay, take care.